I'm good. Okay.
Good.
Wasn't sure if you were ready for me to start. It's good to see everyone. I'm Jennifer Andersson. I have been a part of the Association of Covenant Spiritual Directors since it was formed. And it's just great to be with you all today. One of the things through the years, as we had our gatherings, our annual gatherings during midwinter of spiritual directors, one of the key things that we heard on a regular basis of what they what spiritual directors hope to receive and what they needed being part of the Association of Covenant Spiritual Directors was resources. Resources, 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 and where we can resource one another and give each other care and support in that way for all the reasons that Rick mentioned. Just being able to have things that other people have either put their stamp of approval on or have written themselves, or perhaps have used when they have done retreats or worked with other directors or directees in any kind of a context. And so we wanted to start putting that together. We had hoped originally that that could be connected to the website, but that got a little complicated. And so right now we are working out of Google Docs, which means that it makes it a lot easier if people have a Gmail account. It's not a requirement, but it does make it a little bit easier, a little more direct in terms of the invitation. But it's certainly not a requirement. But we work out of Google Docs just because that's an easy way for folks to make those connections. And so we put together, or I put together, a Google Docs that holds quite a wonderful wealth of resources. We started with wanting to lay out the kind of resources that we felt like that spiritual directors were asking for, and then started filling that in with the resources that a handful of us had and started sending in. So I just want to give you guys an idea of what that is. Some of you I know are members of the association, and some people are not yet members of the association. So this is one of the benefits if you are a member of the association, is you will have, I will send you a link to these resources and you can have direct access to them. So if you are interested, as you see this, and are not yet a member of the association, Rick will talk about that at our closing on how you can very easily become a member of the Association of Covenant Spiritual Directors so that you can have access to these resources. So I'm going to share my screen and start you all out with the way that I find myself accessing it myself is I go to my Google Docs, which I have with a couple of groups. And what you would do is I would send you a link to this, so it might take you automatically directly to the Google Drive that is for the Association of Covenant Spiritual Directors. And you will then open these. This is our library of resources. So for me, again, I'm just showing you, I have it in my drive under ACSD Resources, and then it lays out the resources right here. We broke them down into these particular categories. So I will show you, these are the main folders. But I'm going to open this first one that has the current, though it will be regularly updated, the current PDF file that shows what resources are available in each category. So some of them you're just going to have to do a little exploring. There's a little bit of being a researcher involved in this, because I put them in the files that made sense to me. And so the first one is contemplative prayer practices. So most of these are prayer related. There is another category that's also called spiritual practices, I believe. Yeah, spiritual direction, then spiritual practices down here that might have some other ones that you might think would fall under prayer practices, but we were trying to pull out the prayer practices themselves into a specific file. So some examples that are underneath the contemplative prayer practices are working with artist prayer, audio divina, breath prayer, examine. You will find, I will show you in the categories that underneath these main headings, there some of these have several offerings underneath that particular category. So for example, the examine, we probably, I'll show you in a moment, we probably have, well, I don't know, 5, 6 different versions of the examine. What I will say is all of these resources are in PDF form. So you would simply, when you wanted to print something like this, if you wanted to print this, I've got everybody's pictures up here. So I'm trying to see where I can see it. Yeah, you would go over here and there would be connected to your printer and you simply click print. Does everybody see that? Where you click print over here and you just simply print out your own copy of whatever resource is pulled up here. Again, this is just the index for what resources are available, but you can do that with each one. So everything in here is in a PDF form. It's not in a Word form. So you can't edit it yourself unless you literally typed the version into your own computer and then you could edit it. So it's all in PDF form, but this is an example of like the contemplative prayer practices that are listed in here. Then we have continuing education. This is, you'll see that this file is not yet filled with much, but these are the things that you would probably be able to find in there. We do have some webinars that we have held as the association that we will have links to those, or at least links that you can copy and paste into your browser for future reference to be able to watch things much like the one we're recording right now to remind yourself on how to access these. So we'll have links to those. Discernment is another one that is a main category, and underneath that is clearness committee and the use of a compass, the compass exercise or Ignatian discernment, the process. Enneagram, ethics and essentials. We have things on boundaries. Rick just sent me some things today, some wonderful things that fall underneath nature and creation in terms of stations of creation or prayers to use with creation. We're going to start to fill it even more with particular prayers that people have found very helpful and wonderful. Under certain prayer services, we have these types of things listed, from Stations of the Cross to things being able to be used during Lent, we have healing and lament, those types of things as well. We're going to start having links associated with professional organizations. We have offerings under retreats, as you can see. We're still filling in the spiritual assessment thing, but we do have that in there. So this just gives you an idea in terms of the index. I'd rather just open those files for you and give you guys examples. But at the very beginning here, you'll see that we have an index of what is available to you underneath the resources. So I'm just going to click back, and all I'm doing is going back in my drive here to, can't see it because I've got everybody's pictures in the way. There we go. I'm going to go back to our full list of resources here. So book reviews is another option. I don't have, maybe I have one at this point. Let me look. Yep, I do. Someone did send me a book review under that category. So we do have those types of things available as well. Okay, I keep running into that, so I can't go backwards. Sorry about that, everybody. So let me give you an example. So here we are under contemplative prayer practices. As I double click that, you'll see that the examine still has its own entire file. When you see the PDF with the red square next to it, that's an individual document. When it looks like this, it still is a whole file. So for instance, if I double click the examine file, you'll see that we have 6 different versions of the examine that's available to you. So the ones that I've submitted for instance, we try to keep them to where they're just a single or maybe a front and back sheet only as a printout so that it's an easy thing to be able to utilize. We try to keep it to that so that they're not long documents. And again, if I wanted to print this particular examen, I just go over here and click my printer and it'll print it out directly from the one that I've pulled up. So there are a few different versions. Some of them, for example, this one that I put together, sometimes people use the terms of just looking at the end of the day and what are my highs and what were the lows in the day. This is a good document that I use a lot with youth groups or young people as well. This kind of resonates for them a little bit more. So this is just, again, a single page printed document that you can use. So there you have, for an example, the examen has 6 different things in it underneath the category of contemplative prayer practices. This one is quite full of some great things. Again, a lot of variety and different ways that you can use prayer and with a directee or for yourself or in a retreat. Here's another version. Here's 4 different handouts for Lectio Divinas. I'm trying to find a particular example. Some of these, like this one's from the side because this one was a scanned document. All of them are going to have their reference of where they're from, whether they were scanned or someone composed them themselves. They'll have a reference on that document. I'm trying to find, some of them I can't find it right now. Some of them that I've put in there were even just a half sheet that I've used in retreats. And so you're going to have 2 versions on one printout that you can just cut in half down the middle. So sometimes that's, you'll see, is the way it's set up. So here's just one example, again, what's available under contemplative prayer practices. Another example of what's available, here is one under discernment. And this one has several, I don't know how many of you might be familiar with clearness committees, but this is, it's a Quaker practice, but here's a lot of documents. I've used the clearness committees a lot. So here are a lot of examples from different authors of how to use a clearness committee, including ones that I've made myself when I've used clearness committees, either with a church group or like a church staff or for individuals to be able to use that. So here again, when it's the red square, it's your single document. This one again is one that was scanned. And so this is a few more documents, but again, you're going to have your reference of who authored it at the end of each thing that you open up. So that's an example of clearness committees. And then if you've used the compass before, there's a lot of us that have used the compass as a wonderful, and I've broken it down with the ones that I have in here. I've used it where I've used the compass in community with church staff. It might be, so then I've changed the language ever so slightly when I've used it with myself as an individual, or with Enneagram language, using the compass when I've been working with people and along with the Enneagram, or the compass when I've been using it with a directee. So it changes the language ever so slightly. So this gives you a few different examples and offerings on ways that you can use it. It also includes giving you just even the graphic of the compass. And these are easy, good single printouts. So when you're using the compass with yourself or with a group too, it gives you the good questions that fall in each of the directions. So another example of including, I think I have one. Oh, I thought I had, anyway, I think I have one in there that even the graphic is empty so people can write in the graphic themselves. So that's just another example of what's it. We put those under discernment because they obviously, as you can see, had a lot of different things underneath them. And so we thought that fit well. Here you have the Enneagram, and I have not started up. As you can see, there's only a few things in terms of prayers with the Enneagram type. This is a beautiful document. Actually, if you've worked with an Enneagram group, this is a really wonderful document to use for prayer at the end of it as you pray through the different types. But we have just a couple documents in there right now. I have an abundance, so I haven't quite added all of them into here. I'm trying to still feel that out, but obviously that's one area that we'll be filling in even more. We have some basic things under the ethics and essentials with spiritual direction, including the ethics document that's on our website for the association, the boundaries survey that's on the website for our association. So those types of things are in here, but if anyone sends important documents under that category, this is exactly where we'll fill it. Today, Rick sent me some things today that are beautiful. We have seasonal prayers, different versions of the Lord's Prayer that we'll be able to fit in here. Blessings. Rick just sent this one today, a prayer for hope. So again, these are just single documents that share just a wealth of beautiful ways of expressing and sharing things such as prayer.
This prayer, interesting. This prayer came out on Monday with the covenant prayer thing that now people are doing this every Monday for the month of November and first Monday. And some of you have seen that online.
Beautiful.
But this is a prayer that was shared on Monday, and I thought this is a lovely prayer. Let's get this on.
Let's add it. Perfect.
Yep.
So what's funny is I don't know about you all, but I have a good old conventional, filing cabinet that is full of files and that are full of these types of things. And now here is an online version of being able to do that. I want to see what other types of things we have here. That retreats are an area that a lot of people have asked about. These are a couple of articles and documents that I often hand out just in terms of talking about what a retreat is. And then I've added on to a few different things. Let's see. This is actually from, these were from my personal notes when Helen Sapiro led our class on retreats when I went through the training program with Rick and Millie at the center. And these were this is just a document I put together of my notes on a good structure for an outline for a retreat. And in the retreats I lead now, I regularly go back to this very helpful basic outline that I ended up just making into a document and uploading it here. So that's one simple type of thing. Another thing that might be able to fall underneath this, for instance, Bob Tanglin was telling us at our association meeting recently of a new retreat center that is being started soon by someone in the Covenant. And so that if they're comfortable with letting us put their contact information in here, those are the types of things that could fall underneath the retreat area. So actually Bob's checking that out for me to see if the leader of that retreat center would like their information on this. Here under spiritual direction, again, lots of good opening things all the way to my document again for use of how to work with triads. What's the structure of working in a triad? And this is back again from my notes from going through the C. John Weborg Center. So again, just everything from this to articles, those types of things that are available in here. I'm trying to see another one that, yeah, again, a lot of different things. This is a great description of just what spiritual direction is. If you wanted a handout to explain to either people in your faith community or perhaps someone who's just asking you what spiritual direction is, there's a few different handouts in here too that you can give to others or make available to them about what spiritual direction is. And that falls into this file. Another one that's very, oops, I'm so sorry. Another one that's very, very full. Let me see. That was funny. Is, let's see, let me move that up. There it is, spiritual practices. So this one, again, journaling has its own folder because there's a few different things in journaling here. But you will see also that there are a few different things under the use of a labyrinth. But then there's a bunch of different spiritual practices, the spiritual practice of celebration or fasting. That one I would probably move into labyrinth. Different practices in terms of, again, writing during a time of lament, writing an exercise, a parable walk, a prayer collage, Sabbath walk, the spiritual practice of service or simplicity. Those types of things, those are all available to you in here and under this particular category. Let me see if there's anything else that I want to highlight. Woo, that's funny when that does that. I go move it up too high. Is there anything that anyone wants to highlight? I'm trying to see if there's, nope, I just have one. This is a list of, we do have a list that is through the Weborg Center of Covenant directors that have gone through training as a supervisor. So this is a list of people with their contact information who are supervisors. So along with anything that we might make available to people who are supervisors, this also is a list that we have of people that have been trained as supervisors. Of course, that gets added to. I think there was a class that just finished training at the center to be supervisors. So we'll be adding their names to that as that list gets updated. So that's just a general sense of what is available to you and how to find it. And again, what I do is I just send you an invitation and a link to opening this, and you can just keep that link, maybe flag it, keep it in your own file folder in your emails if that works the best for you. And then just continue to click that link when you want to access the resources. Terry has asked if I have a list of books. I don't, let me look, Terry. It's a great question. I often forget what I did have an opportunity. Nope, I don't think I have a list of books yet. I think we did already open that and I have one review in it right now, but I would love to keep a working list of books that people recommend. And that would be something that we would probably want to categorize as well in terms of ones that are maybe related to spiritual direction itself or particular practices. I know I have a whole list that is just for the Enneagram alone that I would probably put under that category. So Terry, that's a great suggestion. And if you or anyone want to send me, a list that can start to be our working list, I completely welcome that. And we'll continue to add to that list.
Maybe I could say something here quickly.
Sure.
Jennifer. We have just started this thing, and as you can see, there's already a lot of things in it, but not necessarily the things that you may be looking for when you have a point of need. And so this whole thing, the sky is the limit as to what it can ultimately be to us, and it will only be as good as we all make it together. It is something that's only available to members of the ACSD, by the way, and we're not trying to bait you who are here at this event who are not members. We're not trying to bait you into membership by having this. We just want to let you know the kinds of resources that are available and maybe some of the benefits that could be available through ACSD. But you got access to a lot. I mean, the internet is a rich place for resources, but the thing we're excited about here is these are not necessarily covenant vetted, all covenant spirited, but by and large, these are things that we are working with as covenanters that might fit more in your context than other times. Jennifer, question. When you have a document that fits two categories, do you typically put it in two places, or do you just stick it into one place? How do you do that?
I haven't quite had that exactly. I could put it in two different places. It's not a difficult thing to do.
Mhm.
So I can certainly replicate it and put it in a couple different places. So that's not hard to do. Yeah.
Okay, because it will require all of us to just peruse it, see what's there, just work our way through it, when we're not necessarily looking for a specific thing, but we just want to see what kinds of things are offered. You will find a lot of empty spaces, places where we have a hoped for resource that will come to us, especially on that first page, where we list a bunch of ideas. That whole thing, we don't have ideas, we don't have resources in all those categories yet, but it's the kind of categories that we're looking for good ideas. So you all will be our resources in terms of sending us things that, I've done something on that. I'll shoot that over to Jennifer and see where we go with that. Just a thought. One last thing is that some of you who even are members of the ACSD, we have neglected getting you that link. So I think Jennifer and I realized there were maybe 20 of our 100 members that have not yet received the link, because they've joined us so recently that we have forgotten to send the link out to them. We will rectify that soon and make sure that everyone has access to that Google Doc link. But again, it will be for members only. It just, we feel that that's an important part of our offering to our members. Yeah. So thanks, Jennifer.
Sure. The other thing that I'll say is, if you have any resources that you would like to add, the most efficient way to do that and helpful way to do that for me is to send it to me in a PDF form, and make sure that you have referenced it, especially if you're the author. Make sure it's referenced somewhere at the bottom so that people can know where it's come from, either who has authored it. Often the words that a lot of what I use is, not just so not as much repurposed from, but again, when it was from my personal notes from class, it was from the notes from the CG John Weberg Center, or if it's something that I've authored, I put my name and the year at the end of it, and in terms of that being helpful. If it's something that you've scanned, if it's an article and it doesn't have the reference on it, as you see, some of people have also just handwritten it and scanned it again when they sent it to me. But again, everything that goes on the list of resources is in PDF form. It's just the easiest, most straightforward way to have it available to people. So that would be the most helpful form for you to send it to me in. Any questions that anybody has, or anything that, if you want me to share the screen and check something out, is there anything from those of you that are here that you have questions about or want to add?
Can I
Yeah,
ask
Tom.
a couple? Yeah. So I was thinking about the book resources part. Let me see if I can get rid of this. I don't know where this even came from. Anyway, yeah, because I have a book resource list that probably lists 50 books. That's not particularly helpful, but I was thinking perhaps books that people have used in a particular way that have been really helpful. Maybe they could send that book and the name of the book, and then a short annotation that this is the way I've used the book and it's been really helpful. And these are a few pages that, so it'd become more useful than just, a list of books.
Yes.